Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a new watch from Casio, the Casio G-Shock, the Casioak, full metal bracelet, full metal case, long-awaited model. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as a full authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive on this timepiece, looking at the different variants, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout this video, if you have further questions or wanting to buy this watch, check out the link in the description down below to the product page. But guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. There's perhaps no brand more closely associated with the idea of digital timekeeping than that of Casio, with the original Casiotron digital wristwatch dating back to 1974. However, it is the G-Shock collection unveiled in 1983 with the DW5000C that ultimately grew to be Casio's single most important and impactful contribution to the horological world, even becoming an icon in mainstream pop culture. But for some watch enthusiasts on the snobbier end of the spectrum, the G-Shock's resin casing, mass production-oriented finishing or lack thereof, and the very idea of a digital display are simply too tall of a mountain to climb for those snobs out there. But then fast forward to 2019 and something happened. One, it was the release of the GA-2100 that came to be known as the Casioak, a watch that combined an analog digital display with a number of design elements borrowed from high horology, or at least the case shape. Might be a bit of a stretch to say much more. This $100 G-Shock immediately ascended the watch enthusiast's attainable hierarchy, spawning countless different variations, and the modding community went crazy. And earlier this year, Casio responded finally with the new GM-B2100D, a full metal variant carrying the Casioak's established design language to an elevated position in finishing, function, and in price. Now today we're going to be looking at three different available options in polished steel, a gunmetal gray tone, and a solid gold color variant. But we will focus primarily on the standard steel model here, and also keep in mind there is one available with a resin strap as well. So despite being executed in stainless steel, this case borrows nearly identical dimensions from its resin sibling, with the 44.5 millimeters measured diameter, a svelte 13.2 millimeter thickness, at least for Casio G-Shock standards, and a lug-to-lug just under 50 millimeters. And while those are broader metrics on paper, the watch surprisingly wears a bit smaller on wrist, feeling more like a 42 to 43 millimeter watch in my experience, thanks to the smaller dial presentation and sculpted lugs that hug the contours of the wrist. Digging into the case design, this octagonal bezel is one of the aspects that allows this one to have its nickname, but it's interesting to note the designers at G-Shock claim that this design evolved from the original 1983 G-Shock bezel, as opposed to being directly inspired by something like the Royal Oak. Anchored to the watch with a sizable pair of screws, the integrated bracelet emerges from the case at around 25.5 millimeters in width, before tapering down to 18 millimeters and terminating with a 20 millimeter wide deployant clasp with a blend of milled and stamped components. And I know there's many in the modding community that have just gone crazy with adding their own metal bracelets to these watches, but the good news here is that this one is actually quite well done for those that don't want to maybe go the extra mile and just want to be able to purchase one watch and just be able to put it on wrist and not have to worry. The substantial stainless steel links are, despite their pin adjustment, heavy, thick, and well finished, with brushing on their forward-facing surfaces and polishing on their interior bevels and sides. The clasp is also surprisingly pretty good, and honestly keeping with the Swiss options in the same general price range, around $500 or so, in which these sit. Contrasting from the primarily brush bracelet, the case itself is polished, and I mean heavily polished. This is a watch that begs for looks across the room and can even be a bit blinding in brighter outdoor environments. Now turning this watch over, we get a glimpse of the Casio modular construction with a polished steel shroud sitting over an inner case, to which the case back is screwed down as opposed to fixed with screws, as is the case with the less expensive G-Shock models. Even considering the four pushers, more accurately known as buttons when discussing a digital watch, this Casioak is still rated to 200 meters of water resistance, meaning there is plenty of peace of mind when it comes to aquatic activities. More than with a traditional quartz or automatic watch, this watch is going to have a dial and movement concept that feels more like it's all one thing, with the analog digital display providing a feature and information-rich portrayal of modern G-Shock's impressive tech. Set over a matte finish black primary surface, One of the central themes of this design is its three-dimensional nature, with indices and a sculpted rehaut at the outskirts that draw the eyes in. At the 9 o'clock position, a sub-register indicates which mode the watch is in, with tiny printed abbreviations denoting each particular function. Set between the 3 and 6 o'clock, the smaller digital display is neatly integrated with a faceted cutaway that reveals the digital aspects of this analog digital display. The handset is a straightforward stylized baton shape, and both the hour indices and hands are treated with luminescent material that, while helpful right after being exposed to a light source, quickly fade. Luckily, this being a G-Shock, the upper right-hand case button also operates a more useful pair of lights that illuminate both the digital display and the broader analog dial. With this being more of a black-on-black display in this particular instance, it's worth noting that legibility isn't as strong as it is with some other G-Shock models, though the gold tone variant offers a bit more contrast between the dial indices and the hands. As a couple other notes, this watch features G-Shock's tough solar charging, making this piece capable of operating with full functionality for 7 months after a full charge in brighter lighting conditions for up to 18 months in power saving mode. Also equipped with Bluetooth, this upgraded Casioak is designed to be set and operated with G-Shock's connected app, which makes setting this more complicated module a breeze after you connected the app to your watch. In terms of its timekeeping capabilities, this Casioak features a 38-city world time, alarm function, countdown timer, stopwatch, auto calendar, and a highly adjustable digital display. But now let's unpack looking at these watches. So first, let's begin with some of the points of criticism, or maybe things that people will mention quickly. This is going to add a lot of extra heft and weight to the watch going in full steel, noticeably different compared to the traditional Casioaks, which is going to make these wear larger than usual, but still very much in alignment with that case size. Also, because these are more of a full metal variation, they are going to be perhaps more blingy and polarizing. This isn't going to be the most inconspicuous watch that you have on your wrist. So kind of figure out where you're going to fall in the aisle. If you want something that makes a statement, this watch certainly does. And then for the lume, not going to be the greatest. But now let's look at the pros and why somebody might like this watch. Now first, you have all of the G-Shock functionality, the different features at your disposal here. Also getting an analog digital display, which kind of meets that perfect middle ground for people that are G-Shock fans, but also people that maybe would never look in the direction of a G-Shock before and are more mechanical watch lovers. I think this is why this watch has struck a chord. The finishing is very well done. This feels very much in its price range. The bracelet is also not going to be cutting corners, although I do think there are going to be many people that are going to say, I'm just going to go for the modding. But the upside here is just the fact that you can buy this as one final piece, and if you're not somebody that wants to get into the details for a $500 watch or $600 watch and having to go the extra mile to get things how you want them, this just gives a lot of buyers the peace of mind to know that, hey, factory bracelet, it's going to work very well. Solar charging gives you a ton of peace of mind here as well when it comes to just set it and forget it type of living. That's one of the big upsides of a watch of this nature. And then finally also comes hand in hand with the setting of the watch compared to some of the other Casios with the Bluetooth functionality. It does seem that Casio is shifting in this direction to make more of their watches uphold this feature. So in general, I would say this is the more blingy, statement-making Casioak model. If you're somebody that doesn't want to spend the extra change, just go for the standard model. But if you like the metal package and want something that makes a statement, it's going to look pretty much as unique as it can come by for a $500 watch and have its own design identity, this will be a good option for you. All right, guys, well, that's all we have for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that. That does help out the channel and lets you stay informed when we release new content. Also, if you like what you saw here from the watch here today, definitely check it out on TeddyBaldassarre.com. It'll be in the description down below. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. And it helps with us just continuing to make this content, helping to help foster this new generation of watch enthusiasts. At least that's my goal. So any purchase does help as well. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.